Tsunami wave. Tsunami watch.
Tsunami warning. Tsunami wave.
The tsunami, the earthquake, immediately setting off warnings around the Ring of Fire. Tsunami sirens blared in Japan and in Hawaii. The risk of significant flooding forcing people away from the water. The last major Pacific tsunami in 2011.
Imagine living in one of the most beautiful countries on Earth. Rolling green hills, pristine beaches, snow-capped mountains. Now imagine that same paradise sits directly in the crosshairs of nature's most violent forces. This is New Zealand's reality, and what happened just days ago proves that even paradise has a dark side. You're about to discover why this island nation is nature's ultimate testing ground, and how one morning changed everything. Here's something most people don't realise about New Zealand. It's not just a pretty postcard destination. It's actually one of the most geologically violent places on the planet. Picture two massive tectonic plates, the Pacific and Australian plates, locked in an eternal wrestling match. And guess what's caught right in the middle? New Zealand. This isn't just bad luck. It's geography with consequences. The country sits on what scientists call the Ring of Fire, a horseshoe of seismic activity that produces 90% of the world's earthquakes. But earthquakes are just the beginning of New Zealand's weather nightmare. Let me paint you a picture of why New Zealand is nature's punching bag. These islands stretch across 1,600 kilometres of ocean, right in the path of the notorious Roaring Forties, some of the most violent winds on Earth. The country's long, narrow shape means it's surrounded by ocean on all sides, making it a sitting duck for every weather system that rolls across the Pacific. But here's where it gets really wild. New Zealand doesn't just get hit by one type of disaster. We're talking about a country that regularly faces earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, cyclones, flooding, and even tornadoes. It's like nature decided to use these islands as a testing ground for every catastrophe in the playbook. The mountains that make New Zealand so beautiful. They're also weather magnets, forcing air masses up and over them, creating some of the most unpredictable and extreme weather patterns you'll find anywhere. And if you think modern technology can protect you from nature's fury, what happened recently will change your mind forever. Because when the Earth decides to move, all our smartphones and early warning systems become toys in the face of raw planetary power. At exactly 11:24 a.m., the Earth beneath the ocean floor shifted violently. An 8.8 magnitude earthquake, one of the most powerful ever recorded, struck thousands of kilometres away. But here's the terrifying truth about living in New Zealand. Distance means nothing when you're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. Within minutes, massive waves began racing across the Pacific at jet plane speeds, heading straight for New Zealand's exposed coastlines. And this is where geography becomes destiny, because New Zealand's position means it's in the direct firing line of tsunamis from multiple directions. Picture yourself as one of the tourists who experienced this firsthand. You've just arrived in paradise, bags barely unpacked, when suddenly sirens start wailing. We heard the first siren and thought, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" one visitor recalled. Then we got a second one, then a third. The scenes that unfolded were like something from an apocalypse movie. Roads gridlocked with people fleeing the coast, shops closing their doors midday, entire communities cut off from the outside world. But here's what makes this story even more chilling. This wasn't New Zealand's first rodeo with extreme weather. Just weeks before this tsunami warning, the country had been battered by severe flooding, cyclones, and wild storms. It's like nature was warming up for the main event. The truth is, New Zealand has been under siege from extreme weather for months. We're talking about communities that have faced evacuation after evacuation, people whose homes have been flooded multiple times, regions that barely finish cleaning up from one disaster before the next one hits. One farmer, whose land had been devastated by recent flooding, summed it up perfectly. "We haven't done much clean-up. We'll let it dry. We're just very fortunate." That's the New Zealand spirit, resilience in the face of relentless natural assault. But this tsunami warning was different. This wasn't just about one region or one type of weather. This was about the entire country facing a threat that could reshape coastlines forever. As night fell, hundreds of thousands of people huddled in evacuation centres, listening to the ocean roar in the darkness. Emergency services worked through the night, not knowing what dawn would bring. The waves that eventually reached New Zealand's shores were smaller than feared, but the psychological impact was enormous. An entire nation had stared into the abyss and realized that living in paradise comes with a price that nature can collect at any moment. This tsunami warning may have passed, but New Zealand's battle with extreme weather is far from over. The country's unique position means it will always be in nature's crosshairs, and climate change is only making things worse. If this story opened your eyes to how geography can determine destiny, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about our planet's most extreme places, because understanding where we live means understanding the risks we face. What would you do if you lived in nature's battleground? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, it's not about living in fear. It's about respecting the power of the planet we call home.